You realize you're gay, and for one sharp, electric moment, it feels like clarity, like you just solved a brutal riddle that's been clawing at your sanity for years. You're not broken, you're just not straight, which, in theory, should be liberating. But in practice, it's like unlocking a door only to find out it opens into a church sermon about you. And then the world notices, and the world doesn't respond with a cake and a parade. No, the world says, cool. Now here's your welcome gift: judgment, suspicion, and a lifetime subscription to invasive questions about your genitals and moral fiber. You'd think it would be easier by now. You'd think the concept of being attracted to someone wouldn't melt people's brains, but somehow your harmless crush is treated like a biohazard, while your straight coworker makes out with their spouse in a Chili's and no one bats an eye. Welcome to gay life, where your existence is seen as rebellion, even when all you did was buy toothpaste. It starts early. You spend years trapped in a fog of weirdness, watching every rom com and thinking, wow, I feel literally nothing. Then one same gender character shows up, says two words, and your body reacts like it's just been hit with a defibrillator. Then comes denial, the greatest performance of your life. You fake crushes, flirt with people you don't even like, and say things like, that actress is hot, with the enthusiasm of someone naming their favorite tax form. You Google, am I gay? So many times the algorithm starts recommending conversion therapy. Still, the truth leaks out, quietly, persistently, like blood through a paper towel. Coming out isn't a one time thing, it's a constant, soul numbing routine. You come out to your friends, your family, your boss, your Uber driver, and that one aunt who keeps calling your boyfriend your roommate. Every new person is a roulette spin. Will they be chill, or will they suddenly turn into a medieval priest? And even when people are okay with it, there's a tone, a pause, a moment of recalibration. I still love you, Lance, like, I guess I won't disown you yet. Others get fascinated in the worst way. Like you've just confessed to being a ghost or a witch. What was your first clue? They ask, like they're gathering evidence for a documentary. Family gets weird. Some are genuinely supportive. Others treat your truth like a betrayal. But you seemed so normal. Yeah, sorry I didn't come out in a rainbow cloud during my seventh birthday party. My bad. Holidays become endurance tests. You walk in with your partner, and suddenly you're the cause of everyone's awkward silence. Someone inevitably says something homophobic wrapped in nostalgia. You smile, grit your teeth, and try not to ruin the cranberry sauce with rage. Dating? It's a disaster. Straight people have romance handed to them like IKEA furniture. Some assembly required, but the instructions exist. You? You get a haunted house full of broken parts and no exits. Apps are full of shirtless torsos, emotional landmines, and people who ghost you mid sentence. And when someone does show interest, you have to ask, are they safe? Out? A repressed homophobe in disguise? Rejection hurts, but not just because it's rejection. It's often dipped in casual cruelty. You're cute for a guy. I'd never date someone who's actually gay, but maybe we could hook up. You become a novelty, a curiosity, an experiment, not a person, a kink with a pulse. Public affection becomes high stakes calculus. Hold hands? Maybe. Depends on the city, the street, how close the nearest exit is, and whether anyone nearby looks like they've watched too much cable news. You risk violence for a moment that straight people post on Instagram with vintage filters. Work becomes a mask you wear. You monitor your voice, your tone, the pronouns you use. You laugh at the wrong jokes to stay safe. You dodge questions like you're in the Matrix just to keep your job. Because being openly gay at work still feels like a career risk, especially if the HR team thinks diversity means one poster during Pride Month. Some people treat you like a fashion accessory. You're gay? We should totally go shopping together. Others think you're a threat. Don't hit on me. Please, Brad. I have higher standards than someone who still wears cargo shorts and quotes Joe Rogan. Media representation is a mix of starvation and disappointment. You grow up with dead queers, tragic queers, or the sassy gay friend who exists solely to validate a straight woman's mediocre choices. And when a gay character finally gets a happy ending, half the internet riots like someone burned down their childhood. Religion? Don't get started. Even if you've escaped it, someone will bring it up like it's an argument winning card. But the Bible says, cool, Brenda. The Bible also says, don't eat shrimp. You planning to fight Red Lobster next? You think going to therapy will help? Until your therapist winces when you say the word boyfriend. Finding a mental health provider who doesn't treat your sexuality like a trauma response is like hunting for buried treasure with a broken compass. You sit there, paying by the hour, while they ask if you've tried not being gay, in slightly fancier words. Medical care isn't much better. Doctors ask if you're sexually active, then flinch when you answer honestly. Suddenly, your flu symptoms turn into a moral exam. You didn't come for judgment, you came for antibiotics, or at least some damn Advil. People debate your rights like it's a stimulating thought experiment. Should gay people adopt? Should gay marriage be legal? These are not questions, they're loaded weapons disguised as discourse. You exist, and they call it a conversation starter. Even your voice gets turned into evidence. Too deep, threatening, too light, mocked. You try to sound like yourself, but someone's always there to turn it into a punchline. You get used to being someone's icebreaker at a party. My gay friend said, as if you're a citation, not a person. You try to find peace online, but the trolls are faster than your Wi Fi. You post a photo, and suddenly you're corrupting the youth. Meanwhile, the youth are watching horror movies rated 17 plus and following influencers who start cults. But your couple pick is the real danger. Traveling is its own hellscape. You pack two versions of yourself, one for safety, one for survival. You learn which countries could arrest you for existing and which airlines will glare at you for breathing. You plan romantic getaways with the same caution most people use for wilderness survival. Even joy has a price. You fall in love and someone calls it performative. You kiss in public and someone recoils. You exist in happiness and someone sees it as arrogance. Your triumphs are always treated like overreactions, while your suffering is treated like background noise. And then, just when you start to feel okay, someone reminds you you're lucky. It's cool to be gay now, they say. Like you haven't spent years dodging trauma like debris from a slow motion explosion. So you laugh. Because it's either that or scream into a void that echoes back with slurs and legislative bills. And you keep going. You scrape together joy like gold dust. You find people who get it, who see you and don't ask for an explanation. You build your life, not in spite of the world's refusal to accommodate you, but because you deserve more than survival. Being gay isn't a trend, it isn't a debate. It's not a crime, a confession, or a marketing gimmick, but the world keeps twisting it into one. And still, you're here, bruised, brilliant, burning, not asking for permission, which to some people is the worst sin of all. You don't choose to be gay. It's not like picking a major in college. It's more like waking up one day and realizing your operating system is different, and the world keeps trying to uninstall it. Being gay means existing in a constant state of translation. You have to explain your life, your choices, your love, your wardrobe, your haircut, your pronouns, your everything, over and over again. You go on a date, someone says, so, who's the guy in the relationship? And you resist the urge to respond with, both of us, Brenda, that's kind of the point. You walk into a room and immediately scan for danger. Not in the spy thriller way, more like, who here might ruin my night for fun? Every interaction becomes a balancing act between being authentic and being safe. You shrink, adjust, filter, because some people treat your honesty like an attack. You hear slurs before you even understand what they mean. On the playground, on the school bus, in movies your parents thought were PG. You learn early that gay is a punchline, an insult, a warning. And before you ever come out, you internalize that maybe being gay means being wrong, or broken, or disposable. Coming out isn't a reveal, it's a risk assessment. You rehearse it like a speech, calculate the fallout like a stockbroker. You prep for disappointment like it's a sport. Sometimes people surprise you with warmth. Other times, they turn cold, like you just confessed to murder. Either way, you lose the privilege of privacy. Even when someone accepts you, it comes with conditions. Just don't shove it in my face. As if straight people aren't launching gender reveal fireworks and tongue kissing on every park bench in America. But sure, your Instagram post with your partner is somehow too much. You get told it's just a phase by people who still think mustard is spicy. You're accused of doing it for attention, as if homophobia is a magnet for popularity. You start doubting yourself. You become the world's youngest method actor, performing straightness with the enthusiasm of a DMV employee. You fake it, badly, but long enough to lose yourself in the process. Dating is a circus with no ringmaster and too many clowns. You navigate a minefield of internalized shame, secret relationships, and people who only want you when nobody's watching. Apps are full of torsos and red flags. You get ghosted, fetishized, lied to. You develop trust issues so elaborate they deserve their own memoir. Straight people treat your dating life like it's public property. They ask invasive questions and laugh at your stories like you're a novelty. And then say, love is love, like it erases all the shit you just described. They act like you're living some glamorized Netflix life while you're just trying to survive Tuesday. Public affection turns into a strategy session. Can you hold hands here? Will someone follow you? Shout something? Throw something? You're in love, but you're also on edge, always. Straight couples walk freely. You calculate exits. Bathrooms become anxiety traps. Locker rooms are war zones. You pretend you don't notice how people look at you. You try not to exist too loudly, because being comfortable makes others uncomfortable, and their comfort always matters more. Family gatherings, Russian roulette with side dishes. Someone misgenders your partner. Someone else brings up the Bible. And your mom silently begs you not to cause a scene while your uncle casually asks if you've tried dating the opposite sex. You smile. You chew. You swallow the food and the rage. Religion, a battlefield wrapped in hymnals. Even if you've made peace with your beliefs, someone else hasn't. They quote verses at you like spells, try to save you from yourself, and tell you God loves the sinner, not the sin. Like it's a compliment. They weaponize faith and call it love. You sit through sermons that slice you open with smiles. Workplace politics become another game of code switching. Do you come out to your coworkers, your boss, HR? You weigh job security against honesty. You laugh at jokes that punch down, correct pronouns gently, and become the unofficial ambassador for everything queer. Because straight people will say, we're inclusive, while still inviting your homophobic cousin to give the keynote. Traveling feels like survival cosplay. You research laws like you're prepping for a heist. You memorize customs, avoid flags, and rehearse straight personas, in case someone asks too many questions. You don't take couple selfies. You take security measures. You don't pack light. You pack caution. Even in supposedly safe spaces, you get side-eyed for being too loud, too visible, too much. You're accused of pushing an agenda by simply existing. People tell you they don't see labels, right after mislabeling you completely. You get erased with a smile and called equal in a system built on inequality. Mental health care? A gamble. You explain your identity like a case study, hope your therapist doesn't flinch, or worse, try to fix you. You want help, but end up educating. You cry about trauma and they ask about your childhood like queerness is a wound. You realize you're paying someone to misunderstand you politely. Even joy becomes a target. You dance at a pride event and someone calls it a protest. You kiss your partner and someone calls it propaganda. You wear rainbow socks and someone says you're shoving it down their throat. Meanwhile, every corporate ad features straight couples and nobody cries oppression. You live in a world where your existence is a debate. Your rights are up for votes. Your identity is a trending topic. Politicians use you as campaign fuel, and bigots use your life as a warning sign. You become both symbol and scapegoat. And you're tired. So fucking tired. You try to build community, but even that isn't simple. Racism, transphobia, classism, it all shows up. Because being queer doesn't erase other identities. You navigate hierarchies inside your own so-called safe zones. You find pockets of love and still bump into walls. People romanticize your struggle. They call you brave like it's a consolation prize. They post rainbow filters once a year and call it activism. They think pride is a parade, not a protest with glitter. They don't see the late nights, the panic, the exhaustion of constantly defending your right to breathe. And yet, you're still told to be grateful. It's better now, they say, as if crumbs of tolerance are a feast, as if not getting beat up counts as progress, as if legalized marriage means equality, as if visibility equals safety. You nod. Because fighting every battle is exhausting, and sometimes it's easier to pretend the war is over. You don't get to be neutral. You're politicized by default. Your love is radical. Your silence is permission. Your truth is too much or not enough, depending on who's watching. You can't win. You can only persist. And still, somehow, you do. But this is why it sucks to be gay. Not because of who you are, but because of what the world does with it. How it twists it, distorts it, punishes it. How it demands explanations, then rejects the answers. How it steals your peace, then sells it back to you in rainbow themed merch. Being gay should be a fact, a detail, a part of you, like your laugh or your handwriting. But the world turns it into a spectacle, a threat, a moral flaw, and then gaslights you for reacting. You wake up gay, live gay, sleep gay, and every moment someone tries to make that harder than it needs to be. And you're not asking for a trophy, you're just asking to live. And well, that shouldn't be too much. But for some reason, that's the hardest part.